Happy Friday. Good morning. I'm Babz Rawls Ivy.
And I'm Jeff Grant.
And this is Criminal Justice Insider.
With Babz Rawls Ivy and Jeff Grant.
And this show is happily sponsored by the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven.
Now more than ever.
And so good morning to our loved ones.
Hey, hello, Andrew Kaplan. Andrew Kaplan and
Lynn Springer.
Oh, yeah.
I know, we almost forgot who they were.
No, I love how we trade that off. We trade off a lot of things, don't we?
So how are you, Jeff?
So good, Babz.
So Jeff has been making the rounds.
Oh,
Jeff,
yeah.
Jeff has been in chair to chair to chair. So he was at WestCon.
Oh, yeah, Jackie Pulverari.
Jackie Pulverari, who I adore and love.
Yep, Georgia Marilyn Kane invited us to speak at WestCon.
Yes.
And it was a packed house, maybe 200 people there.
Yay.
Yeah. And it was so diverse because there were people who were justice impacted and students and professors and people from the community.
Wow.
People from recovery. And there was a whole contingent there of people from the FCI. So people who work at the prison in Danbury, work at the federal prison, were there. And I got invited to speak at a graduation.
Yay!
Inside the prison.
Oh, wow.
On November 21st. So
that's nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been in a lot of prisons since I got home.
Not me. I've only been in one.
But I've never been back. I've never been back to a federaal prison. So
me either, Jeff. And I'm hoping no one invites me because I'd hate to have to say no. But I was there. I was at the state prison with Commissioner Cook and the family reentry component that Andrew and his mother happily and willingly supported. Well, and then you were on the Colin McEnroe show because he's retiring or stepping away or something or other.
No, he's picking up another show.
Oh, okay.
No, Colin is picking up another show.
Okay, good for him.
On I don't remember the name of it.
So you were on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, and that was a wonderful show because I was on with my good friend and colleague Dai McKnight from Family Reentry.
How is he doing?
He's doing great. He was here. Was he here? He was here.
Yeah.
Oh, he was here with Scott Isdale.
Yes, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, and Dai is just terrific. And our friend Beth Hines called in from Community Partners in Action. She's the executive director over there, and she was here.
Oh, good.
Too, with Sue Gunderman, remember?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So,
oh, my gosh. Is there anybody we haven't talked to yet?
There's a lot of people we haven't talked to, but Corey Brinson is not one of them.
Hello, Corey Brinson.
Good morning.
Well, let me just rave about you a little bit. So Corey Brinson is the founder and chief executive officer of the Second Chance Firm, LLC. Mr. Brinson works closely with professionals who are who are the subject of federal prosecution and are expected to surrender to the Federal Bureau of Prisons for a period of incarceration. Mr. Brinson also works with people with criminal records who are seeking a pardon in the state of Connecticut or with the U.S. Department of Justice's Office of the Pardon Attorney. Mr. Brinson is also a registered and active lobbyist in Connecticut and advocates for broad, sweeping criminal justice reform.
Hey, don't we all?
Mr. Brinson brings his unique experiences in the criminal justice system to his prison consulting, pardon, and lobbying work. He has experienced the entire criminal justice system. Me too. Specifically, he has tried a murder case to verdict. No, I have not done that. Obtained not guilty verdicts in felony cases, represented white-collar defendants in state and federal criminal court, and has argued for criminal defendants at sentencing hearings in federal court. Additionally, he has obtained and advocated for pardons for clients before the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. So, in 2017, Mr. Brinson was convicted in federal court of white-collar crime related to unlawful banking transactions concerning a client's multi-million-dollar security scheme. He served 16 months in a federal prison camp and a halfway house. Mr. Brinson is also a 2018 graduate of the Federal Bureau of Prisons Residential Drug Abuse Program, which provides inmates with significantly reduced sentences and improved life skills.
And he's a member of our white collar support group that meets online on Monday nights. So
are you running for office too?
And I'm running for office, and I was listening to all that. I was like, I haven't even turned 40 yet.
Wow.
Yes, I'm running for Hartford City Council on Tuesday's election with the second chance.
So what are your
party.
chances?
I think I got a 50-50 chance.
Really? Seriously?
Chance. Yeah, so I got a good chance.
So there's 16 people running, right?
Yes.
For the seat?
No, it's 9 seats.
That's 9 seats. 16 people are running.
The Dems are gonna definitely win those 6.
Are you a Dem?
No, not for this election. So what's gonna happen is on Tuesday there are 3 seats that the Democrats cannot have because of state rules.
Yes.
So I'm one of those people. So I'm running along Working Families Party, Republicans, Independent,
and your new party.
And I have a party called the Second Chance Party. And so I'm running for one. So it's essentially 7 people running for 3 seats. That's why I said I got a 50-50 chance. And
there is a great picture of Corey in today's Current.
Yes, I'm in the Hartford Current today.
Where he was, I guess there was a debate sponsored by the West End Civic Association. That's right. And great picture of him standing up there and doing his thing.
Yep.
Wow.
And I had an interesting story about that. So a guy comes up to me after the forum. It's about 30 people, and it's in the West End, which is the nicest part of Hartford. And he comes up to me and he goes, "You know, I wasn't going to vote for you because of the jail thing. But, you know, you made some good sense and you won my vote. I'm going to vote for you."
Wow.
And that's kind of the whole concept behind like the Second Chance firm, is that people who've been impacted by the criminal justice system actually have some good ideas. They're actually still regular people.
We got to put this mic a little bit more in front of you.
They're actually regular people. They still have some good ideas. And so I guess he reads about me in the media, heard I was convicted of a crime, and immediately dismissed me. Yeah. But then when he got the interview and he got in front of me, in front of the other 16 candidates, he goes, "Wow, you actually you made some good sense."
Okay.
How about
Are you surprised by that? Are you surprised by that? Are you still surprised by that? How long have you been out?
So I came home a year ago. I'm surprised by it in a sense. I guess I'm surprised by it in a sense that the label.
Give me 1 second. So what I want you to do is take your mic and just turn it a little bit towards you.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh,
how's that?
Yes.
So I guess what I'm surprised about the power of the label. So if you put the label of convicted felon on someone, the immediate dismissal of that person,
dismissal of their talent.
Correct.
And their expertise. Correct. And their energy, actually.
Correct. So I guess that is I never looked at people like that. Like, so I did criminal defense for many years, represented hundreds of people.
Are you an attorney?
Yes, I was an attorney.
Okay.
And so I guess I'm used to meeting people from all walks of life who made mistakes or were just in bad situations. Some of these people don't, as you guys know, didn't make a mistake. They're just wrong place, wrong time, wrong person. And so, but the power to the public about a label is very powerful.
But there's precedent in the state. There's other people who've been to prison and have been elected to public office.
Yeah. So I wrote a whole article that a letter to the editor got published in Hartford Current about that. So if you go back historically, back in 1798, there's a congressman from Vermont who was elected to Congress while he was sitting in prison. He was in prison for libeling President John Adams. Fast forward,
we're going
so
400 years.
So it's part of our history. Like, you have a congressman sitting in prison for libeling the president, and he gets elected to Congress while he's in prison. Like not when he got home. Like, he's sitting in a cell.
Hey, St. Paul was in prison, so you know.
Right. And so as Jeff alluded to, closer to home, you know, we've got obviously the most famous is Joe Ganim, who I actually had talked to before I went in and gave me some pointers and advice about what was coming ahead in federal prison. He's also a fellow lawyer as well. And then Ernie Newton got elected to city council, I think just on the last election cycle.
I'm not running for office again.
No.
I mean, I was in public office. I'm not doing that again.
Okay.
And Mayor Ganim was here last year, and I'm in touch with Ernie Newton too. So maybe
it's definitely it happens. Eddie Perez was rejected by the Democratic primary voters. I have some thoughts about that. And then, there's other cities all over the country.
I mean, we've had former Governor Rowland on too.
Oh yeah,
and
right.
I did time with him. I was there.
Oh, you were with him?
I was with him for 9 months.
Oh, this is like degrees of separation.
I was with him for 9 months, and so it was a great.
You know what we have to do? We have to get criminal justice insider badges for people.
Yeah, he was very
buttons.
helpful. Good guy, very helpful. And I got to, so it was great for me because I got to pick his brain every day about, like, where were you on 9/11 as governor? Like, what? Tell me about your day that day. Like, you couldn't. That was like, that's history. Like, I'm talking to the governor, and about where he was on 9/11,
Yeah, sure.
and talk to him. Say, if you never got in trouble, what would have happened? Where would you have ended up? And that kind of stuff. So it was history.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now, what makes you want to run for office?
Yeah, so I'm running
because I would imagine you're successful in all the things that you're doing around helping people and all of that.
Right.
Why would you put yourself in the position for public scrutiny at that level?
Correct. Because, so the Hartford Courant does a great job of reminding everybody I'm a convicted felon in every article.
All the newspapers do.
In every article that they write.
Have you ever met an unconvicted felon?
Right. That's a good point.
I'm just wondering.
That is a good point.
Just wondering.
So this was something that when I was doing my time, I actually planned to do this when I was doing my time. And I actually talked to Governor Rowland and said, what do you think? And he said, yeah, you should go for it. Because part of it is kind of like the expectation is when you come home from prison and you're a convicted felon, like you're just supposed to go away. Like I'm just supposed to either move out of state and never be heard of again or go under a rock. And so I said, you know what? No, like I had dreams. I had aspirations. I made a mistake. I got involved with somebody I shouldn't have got involved with. So, but why should that define the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And I've always said down at City Hall, I said, what if there was somebody of the 9 people who's been impacted by the criminal justice system who knows what it's like to the barriers that come with that economically, employment-wise, the label, housing-wise. There was a condo I wanted to rent. She gave me the condo, and then she Googled me and then said, no, you can't have it anymore. So I've experienced that, right? So what if there was somebody down at City Hall who has that experience and then is bringing that to elected office? And so I always said kind of, a vote for me is a vote for that entire community. And if the representatives at City Hall are supposed to represent the community, how many people, particularly men in Hartford, have been arrested or have a conviction of misdemeanor or felony in the city of Hartford? My guess is in some neighborhoods, it's probably as high as 1 in 3. We're not talking about 1,000 people. We're talking about tens of thousands of men who've been impacted by the criminal justice system, either through an arrest, a misdemeanor, or felony conviction. And so wouldn't it be great to have somebody that's an advocate for them down at City Hall?
Mm-hmm.
So did you grow up in Hartford?
I did.
So tell us about your childhood. Tell us about because you must have been on a pretty cool path to become a lawyer.
Yeah, so I all the statistics said I wasn't supposed to be a lawyer. So I grew up in a single family home. My mom had a high school diploma. My father died before I was 2. He was an immigrant from Jamaica. He was a painter, so he wasn't college educated. So all the statistics said, if you looked at my family income, I wasn't supposed to even maybe even graduate high school, let alone go to college and then go to law school.
Not with that Jamaican pedigree. I know. Listen, Jamaicans got 2 tracks: law or medicine.
There you go. So I had so all the stats said that I wouldn't do that, but I was very determined to focus. So when I graduated high school, my class voted me class politician, most likely to succeed. I've run for public office.
What high school did you go?
I went to Hartford Public High School.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I went to UConn and then UConn Law School. And so so this was always something. I ran for public office before, didn't win, and I ran for Secretary of State as well in 2009, didn't win that either. However, so me coming home and running again, well, these were always my dreams. It's kind of like, I'm not going to let the label deter me from doing what I've always been interested in.
But was there someone in your life, someone older, who was a role model, a teacher, a clergy person? Was there someone who kind of like helped you get on the right path?
Yeah. It wasn't one person, it was a bunch of different things. So I think one, for example, like I went to Catholic school. I didn't go to the neighborhood elementary and middle school. I went to Catholic school in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Jamaican.
And that was a really good opportunity for me to be around a bunch of kids where it was like cool to get good grades.
Wow.
Like that was, I think that was when I look back on my life, like if you were a C student at that school, you were like, you can't sit at our table. Like he gets C's. Like we're the honor roll students. You were the cool kids. Like, and that was the culture of my school. So I think that helped a lot.
Were there nuns there?
Yeah, we had nuns and priests and the whole nines.
They give you the ruler on the knuckles.
I came, I think, right as that was ending.
Yes.
I remember we were younger. Like they were a lot more physical, but that was like the mid '80s. But I think corporal punishment was just ended out, right.
Although I think it ended probably a little bit earlier than that, because I remember. Yeah, I mean, I put my children through parochial school, so
good.
So yeah, so I understand
so
the benefit of a parochial education.
Yeah.
They know they train children to learn.
Right.
I mean, they really are good at doing that. So old school learning, right? Like,
right. So that was a great experience.
And so what did you do when you got out of law school?
So I got a job at the biggest law firm.
Where did you go to law school?
I went to UConn Law School.
Okay.
Yep.
Was it over here in the old seminary building at the time?
It was part of that. It was in Hartford on the West End, and near the Hartford Seminary.
Yeah.
Yep, right over there. To also show you how small the world is, one of my famous classmate graduates is the prosecutor, Chris Maddie, who prosecuted Governor Rowland. So see how
that's full circle for you.
Right. So that's so he was one of my classmates.
We should have him on.
He was one of my classmates as well. And so I went to UConn Law School, got a job at the largest law firm in the state of Connecticut, which was another something I should have never been doing. But it was a great opportunity. Then I went to Washington, D.C. and worked at a national law firm. And I came back to Hartford and opened my own law firm. And then met a nice a gentleman who came in with an offer that was too good to be true. And 7 years later, it all came crashing down.
Do you still have your law license?
My license is suspended. So I'm still like subject to all the rules of being a lawyer. Because I am still a member of the bar, I'm just suspended. So I just can't go to the country club, but I'm still, I have to pay my dues and do everything everybody else has to do and keep up with my continuing legal education. And I get to apply again for my license in May 2021, assuming I get off probation.
And you think you will?
Next year. Yeah, I think all I can do is do everything that I can do to put myself in the best position to get back the license. But I think based on everything, when they really look at my involvement in the case, I think the U.S. Attorney's Office has even said that I'm the least culpable person involved in the whole case. It was like 8 of us in my case, and so they've said that in black and white. Like if you had to stack everybody's culpability, like Corey, for instance, at the bottom.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure they look at your behavior since, and there's no doubt that you've turned yourself to service, and
I pay extra restitution. I'm doing community service. I'm running for office. I'm doing everything that I can do that's in my power to put myself in that best position. And I also think I'm an asset even more so to the bar because in my criminal defense practice, like I have the experience of like being incarcerated and going through the system. And I just think that there's a value that you bring to your clients that if you've never done time before, that you have an appreciation for, that makes you a better lawyer with more empathy.
So what you do now, you sort of prepare people for their journey into the
Bureau of Prisons, correct.
Okay.
So I have a doctor client, for example, that was just sentenced on the 30th and to 37 months. And so the value I bring to him is I, in a way that the lawyer can do several things for him. So I can actually explain to him when he's coming home, what programs they have in BOP to help him get home sooner, what jobs they have in there, what the food is like, how you stay out of conflict, the jargon of federal prison. So all the kind of questions that his lawyer can't answer, even just little things like depending on the timing of when you get, depending on your sentence, like you could actually get to prison in a way and on a date that actually makes you stay in prison longer. So I give him advice on like when you should get to prison based on your sentence so you don't stay there longer. What prison you should go to, the difference between going to Devon's in Mass, or I was in Lewisburg in Pennsylvania.
How much time did you serve?
I did 16 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Long enough to learn my lesson, but not too long that it changed my life. I met a lot of people, as you guys know, that were, 20 years for like having a few grams of crack cocaine and going to trial and losing. And he's like, yeah, I've been here 17, 18 years. And he'd be like, wow.
So what was most illuminating about prison? Because I did a very short period of time, but I was stunned at the sort of the normal, everyday, average people that were in prison. I mean, on television, you just see hardened people who ought to be in prison. But when you get to prison, it's like a hyper campus, right? Like it's hyper campus like vibe. And it's all kinds of people, but they're not extraordinary.
Right. Did you do state or federal?
Federal.
Yes. West Virginia or Danbury?
Danbury.
Okay, good. Just curious. I read The Orange is the New Black, so I read all about that. That's a great book.
For those of you listening in, Orange is the New Black has nothing to do whatsoever with actually being in prison. Nothing.
So I think the most illuminating part of prison, for me, was kind of like, so a couple things. So one was, how many people were there whose sentences I thought were just too long for their offense.
Okay.
Like the sentences didn't match with the offense. And then how I think little the BOP does to prepare people to come home and have a new start and have a second chance. So like a simple big thing that I'd love to take as a case when I get my law license back is I want to make the argument that there should be the internet in prison because you can't apply for a job without the internet. The paper application to the store, to the door, that's gone. Go to the mall. They're going to say apply online. You can't even look for jobs without the internet. You need the internet to prepare to come home. So I want to make an argument the same way that the law library in a book is a constitutional right, that an inmate has a right to a book. It's the same way that they should have a right to the internet because the government can provide a filtered internet. I don't want the whole entire internet, but a filtered internet.
Because you can access email.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
That's the internet. So.
And so you should just as well, why can't I go on Indeed and Monster.com and CareerBuilder.com from federal prison? Who am I going to hurt from being able to see, just to see what jobs are available? So somebody needs to make that argument. I'm being denied a constitutional right by not having the internet in prison. Just the same way if they took all the books out of prison and said,
oh, they're trying.
You can't read any books. You could bring a constitutional claim, and I'm not sure what the history is, but it could be a good argument there that that's a constitutional right because you can't prepare to come home.
But as a pardons attorney, as a pardons specialist here in Connecticut, you're doing a lot of work with the Department of Corrections and the Board of Pardons and Paroles up in Waterbury.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about that. And well, and we've talked before on the show that that Connecticut is a pretty progressive state and that people can actually get a pardon in Connecticut. A lot of states that's not true.
Right.
So tell us how Connecticut is different and what value you add and what people need to do in order to actually get a pardon.
And I want to hear about this on the federal, because I didn't realize there was a federal pardon component.
Yeah.
I just always assumed it was a state, so I'm interested in hearing all of that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the federal first. So if you call me up and you are looking for a federal pardon, right? I tell you, it's very, very, very difficult to close to impossible because you need the President of the United States of America to sign it.
Oh, all right.
So the first thing,
he's busy this week.
Okay.
Right. So
if
the
I
president
snuck on the
of
golf course.
Right. So now that doesn't mean it's impossible, but you're competing around the whole country for people, and so like anything else to get the president to sign, you're gonna need really an inside lobbyist, because the president somebody's got to recommend to the president your pardon. And so I tell everybody, I said, you're going to need either the U.S. Attorney's Office, who prosecuted you, to be in favor of your pardon, or you're going to need a congressman, a senator, somebody in the White House legal counsel.
Oh, God.
You're going to need that level, because if you're just you can just submit your application, but then you're just one of 50,000 applications that year, and the president's maybe going to sign 50 to 100 of these things. So I always say you need a lobbyist to do it. So that's the difference. And I think what Jeff is alluding to is in Connecticut, it's less political. So in a lot of states, the governor has to sign off. And so you get into the whole politics of, well, if I sign this pardon and then for Corey Brinson, and then he goes out and robs a bank, that's going to come back on me about my judgment, and then they're not going to vote for me for office. So rather than give Corey a pardon, because I don't know what Corey's going to do when he gets out, I'd rather just not give a pardon.
This is a hypothetical,
yes.
right?
Yes. I'm not going back. Yeah,
I'm with you. Me either.
Yeah.
So Connecticut has a pardons board.
But can the Connecticut pardon...
Can't do anything for a federal case. Only state cases.
That's what I was trying to understand.
And there's a pardons board. You draw 3 members from this 9-person board, and 2 of them out of the 3 vote for you, and you can get granted a pardon. So it takes the politics out of it, and it's supposed to be professional pardon people. So what I do and helping people with pardons is essentially, a lot of it is kind of like what I help them on how to articulate and looking at their their case, so that they can go before the pardons board, is like what to do and what not to do. And a lot of it is learning for them to learn how to accept responsibility when they're writing their essay. So a lot of it is, if I only pled guilty because my lawyer told me to, or because I didn't have money for trial, or my public defender told me to, you're not going to get a pardon. They want you to accept ownership and responsibility. And then also, for example, let's say you have a conviction for domestic violence. They want to know what have you done to work on your anger management or your relationship skills. So they want to see some counseling. If you have, I had one guy call me up. He had 15 convictions, petty stuff, but a bunch of little petty stuff. I said, the state's going to want to see you do some community service. Mm-hmm. If you're going to get a pardon for 15 convictions, they want to know, well, what have you done to give back to the community? And so a lot of times I'm helping people, not just to fill it out, but I'm helping people to think about how they can best tell their story. So the pardon doesn't ask for pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. Put some pictures in there with your family, with your children, with your community, with your church. Show them. You can tell people with words, but a picture is powerful. There's no reason why you can't produce a little video, a 2-3 minute video clip of a day in the life and how you're a new person, and submit that. It doesn't say you can't. So those are the kinds of ideas I like to work with my pardon folks to think about how they can best tell the story of change. And so go ahead.
But Corey, so in a way, you're really advocating a culture change, because in order to get community service, then people have to give you the opportunity to have community service. If you're going to have, if you have to be employed for a certain amount of time, then people have to give you the job. If you want to be together with your family, then you have to honor your obligations to your family. I mean, there's a whole culture shift that's going on here, and maybe it's everybody's responsibility to actually help people move through the system to this carrot that could be a pardon.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. One of the things that I'd like to see the city and the city of Hartford and the state of Connecticut do related to that is kind of like, there should be opportunities for folks coming home from convictions in prison to have to get preferential hiring, also to have opportunities to do community service, like formal opportunities. we don't have that right now. That doesn't really exist, and it really needs to exist so we can integrate those people back into society so they can set themselves up. One of the state law changes I'd like to see happen is, think about this: your credit score stays with you for 7 years, right? So if I don't pay my mortgage or credit card bill, I get a mark 30-day late. 7 years later, it's gone. But if I steal a Snicker bar from the store and I get arrested for larceny 6, 30 years later, you'll know about it. Why? Why is that Snicker bar stole from the store 30 years ago relevant to anything? And so I think certain convictions, misdemeanor and felonies, should only follow you for a certain period of time, and then they should be erased. There's some felonies that should probably stay with you forever. If you murdered somebody 30 years ago, or if you're a pedophile, certain crimes where there's a high rate of recidivism. So we can figure that out as a society, but there are some crimes, for example, I think, for example, if you're a tax cheat, why should somebody who cheats on their taxes, why should that follow them 40 years later? The IRS will know about it when you apply for the audit. Why does everybody in the community need to know about it? And then all the collateral consequences of not being able to own a firearm and be able to protect your family, and all the other collateral consequences that come along with being a convicted felon because 40 years ago you didn't pay all your taxes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So do you ever get to the place where you have to say no to somebody if they want a pardon, if they want to apply for a pardon? Like, do you say, I'm not the best person to help you with this because I don't believe that you deserve it? Or, I mean, do you make those kinds of judgments when people come in front of you?
No, because I'm not the person who makes the decision. It's kind of like when I was a lawyer, it's like going to trial. Like I always tell people, I don't know who's going to be in that jury and what their point of view. I can't guarantee you the outcome. So a pardon is the same way. So no matter how much money you have or don't have, I can't guarantee you outcome, or no matter how great or not great I think your story, because it's not up to me. What I generally tell people though is, if you, for example, if you just became eligible for a pardon yesterday because it's been 5 years and you were convicted for shooting 2 people and the people are still suffering physical wounds, you haven't done any community service, I would tell you, you got a low likelihood of succeeding in your pardon application. You can still do it, but don't get mad at me if it's not approved, because I don't think, like you probably need to have more time removed and you need to show more community service and so forth.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. So,
Corey, there must also be a percentage of people where you're giving them the list of things that they have to put together.
Correct.
And then and they look at this list, and this list is all positive things. Everything, these are the things that they need to do.
Right.
And they look at this list, and then you never hear from them again because they're just off into, they wanted to do it the easy way.
Right. It's a 23-page application with 7 pages of instructions.
Oh, Lord.
Most people who call me want to do this pardon thing, but they don't have the time to do it, or to put it all together.
They think.
Right. And so part of kind of when they hire me is what I tell them, I'm like, I'm your coach. I'm the equivalent of the personal trainer down at the gym. I'm going to call you every week and say, did you get your essays? Did you get your reference letters? Have you done this? Did you do that? What are you doing for this? And so I'm like to motivate you along to get the application out, because for a lot of people between work and family, raising children, they just don't have the time to like sit down and put the whole thing together and then do it in a persuasive manner. So Jeff is right. It's you can do it yourself, but it really does take the discipline and dedication to put the time into it.
An interesting byproduct of this for you, like it is for me in ministry, and we're on a call together all the time, Corey and I, and as a minister, I learn more about myself and how to live a right life working with other people and being involved in their lives. That's really how I've found my own path of enlightenment. But you being so involved in people's progress and turn to the light and in their pardons, that must be a constant reminder to you of how to live your own life in the right way.
Oh, right. Because I have to do it, for my life, like I have to, for me to get back my law license, for me to get elected to public office, if that's something I continue to pursue, I have to make the right decision every day, all the time. And so working with people who are doing that and want to do that, it is a constant reminder. Also, working with people going into the federal prison system. I have a doctor client, like I said, who is who's going to go in January, and it's a constant reminder of, here was a guy who's making lots of money, had a successful practice, and he made a bad choice, and that's cost him everything again. And I can relate to that. I went through that. And so it's just a constant reminder that every day when you're confronted with a decision, you got to make the right one. Otherwise, I always say the feds they'll come knock on your door. Yeah. So it is a constant reminder working with people. We all make mistakes. I always say everybody makes mistakes. Some of us make bigger mistakes than others, but none of us are judgment free. And so, but I do believe people have some value in their lives to give back to something in the community. And that's why I said, for me, like, I've always been interested in politics. I just advocated for, Jeff was talking about earlier about representing districts and city council at Hartford. We don't have that. Everybody has to get elected at large. And that's important because if I don't have a lot of money, or I'm a new young person in politics, it's way easier to get elected in a neighborhood than it is citywide.
Sure.
You need more resources, you need more people, you need to have more name recognition. So it makes it hard for, just the guy who drives the bus or the single mom who's just passionate about education.
So Hartford's council is citywide?
The entire council is citywide.
Wow.
So what that means is,
I know what it means, but
sometimes some neighborhoods have no representation.
Oh my God!
Because there's no under counts the current.
Because we have 30 wards here in New Haven. 30 neighborhoods,
and we have a bunch of wards. Just with the way they set it up. Is literally you could have all the council people could live downtown and nobody live in the neighborhoods. And it would be okay.
This must have been those same people 200 years ago he was talking about at the beginning of the show. Set it up that way.
Right. So so those are the kind of those are the kind of.
So how do you build a strategy around a citywide run? I mean, because I've ran for office twice and won twice and served twice. So do you make a strategic decision about where you spend your time based on who will vote for you?
I think like yes, that's how you have to do it. The problem what it does is people who have limited resources to run for office don't have the resources. Like, think what it costs. So you got to do a citywide mailer. How much does that cost? Versus if I just had to mail something to a couple thousand people in my neighborhood. Versus there's 60 something thousand voters in the city.
But how many people of those 60,000 voters? How many actually vote in a non-presidential year?
Oh, yeah. The turnout I expect on Tuesday is going to be like
low?
15%, 15%.
That high?
Let me give you these numbers. So the cool thing about like running for a minority seat in Hartford is I can probably win this year with about 1,700 or 1,800 votes, which is only about 2 in 10 votes. So literally 80% of people say, I don't know Corey. I don't like him because he went to prison. And 80% of those people say, I'm not gonna vote for him. 20% could vote for me and I could win. So that's the kind of the cool thing about being a minority here. But yeah, it's gonna be about 10,000 voters out of about over 60 something thousand. Probably 10,000 will come out.
And how many people are running?
So you got 4 people for mayor and 16 people for city council.
Well, one of the good things about having the name Corey is that if they don't know you at all and they get in that ballot box, they don't know if you're a man or a woman. So
it does go. Name does go both ways.
They can just vote for you.
Yeah, it does go both ways. So we'll see.
So have y'all had debates? Like, what is the structure?
Yeah,
you have debates, and you have them all around the city. So there were. Or maybe I'm being too democratic.
That's another problem I think in the city that needs to get fixed. So same for mayor and for city council, there were a number of forums and debates, but they're not organized. Like, in other words, if nobody decided to put these together last minute, they wouldn't happen. And so it's kind of like
not like the League of Women Voters or the NAACP or
there's not
the Deltas or
there's not like an organized like form.
Democratic town chair.
So somebody that month will come up with it and say, hey, I'm going to host something. You guys should come and have it. I'll say, well, if these people decided not to host this, we wouldn't be getting together because there's no like formal commission or structure of like, there's going to be 3 mayoral debates by these groups on these. It's not organized like that. It's kind of like whoever feels like doing something that year does it. So that's something that has to get fixed.
That could work in your favor if you have relationships with those entities and say, you know what, we need to have a debate and have them press for a debate in particular places where voter turnout is low or voter turnout is high, depending on where you need to garner support.
Well, think of why do we vote on Tuesdays versus Saturday? Like there's some of this
that's called voter disenfranchisement.
So some of this stuff needs to happen at the state level. Like changes need to be like I understand for right now for presidential elections that the whole country's involved with that, but there's no reason why for municipal elections why we're not having this election on a Saturday where a lot less people are working and can get over to the polls during the day.
Oh no, it's not designed to be easy.
Right.
Well, I can tell you that for a guy who is fairly I've been back from prison a lot longer than Corey, and every time he posts something on Facebook, he gets like 100 times the amount of likes I do. So he's a popular guy. Mm-hmm. There's no question.
So
but does that translate into votes?
So
because that's another thing.
Let me tell you something on it. So you can't win a campaign for office online for like municipal races, and the reason is most of the people who are on social media, Facebook, the Instagrams, the Twitters, are a younger crowd. Most of the people who vote are older. So I'm 39 years old. Most of the people my age in the 30s aren't coming to vote. Most of the voters are going to be 45 and up.
So what's your message to them? Like, how do you, because this is a problem that's happening everywhere. Right. I mean, we have a big election coming up here in New Haven. Yes. My next guest is the mayor of the city of New Haven. So we're going to have a conversation. So how do you inspire and engage voters who are in your age cohort to vote for you?
Right. So part of it is, I think, part of by having the smaller districts, I think that helps a lot because now if somebody who's 25 years old says is running for the neighborhood district seat, they're more likely to engage their peers, right? And then bring them into the process. So the easier you make it to run for office, the more then you're going to get your non-traditional candidates to then run and seek for office. So that's one way. The other thing I think candidates, what we have to do is we have to explain to people like why the city council matters. So for example, if you care about criminal justice reform, you're listening to the show, right? So the city council approves who the mayor decides is going to be the chief of police. So I get to interview the mayor's appointment for chief of police and say, well, tell me, what do you think about, community policing and police tactics and
stop and frisk
and so on and so forth.
What's your policy on
and
harassment?
If I don't like his answers, he doesn't get my vote. And if enough of us, he doesn't get our vote, the mayor has to go pick a new person.
Yes, have to pick another person.
That's why it matters. And so part of it is explaining to people kind of how your local government impacts you the most, because kind of who you vote for mayor of New Haven actually can impact your life more so than even the presidency in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely, because all politics are local. And whatever is happening on the federal level, I mean, it's all glamorous and sexy and people want to get engaged in that. But your everyday practical life is on the ground in your neighborhood. And that's where you need to have a voice and vision for the policies that matter, and for you and your neighbors. That means your school, who picks the board of ed, who appoints whatever, and all these other kinds of things. So all politics are local. So I appreciate that.
So you're like really a one person set of diversity yourself in terms of your experience, because you've been you've been at the high of high, being a lawyer in the town, and you've been at the low of low, and you bring all that experience.
Right. Yeah. So I've been on the city council. So I'm a former councilman. I was on city council.
Okay. So you know this game.
I was appointed to the city council to finish out somebody's seat. So I've been on city council. I've been a lawyer. I've been a lawyer at the biggest firm, and I've sat in federal prison for over a year and lost everything and lost my license. And so so I've seen, like I said, the entire, kind of the way society is set up, and kind of how can we affect it to change it to get more people out to vote, to get people, when you're coming out of prison, to get them back reestablished, because those people, like we talk about, like there's always a debate like affirmative action and employment and higher education. They need affirmative action and for people coming home from prison regardless of your race, because those people need a little extra something. I can't work as a paralegal as an attorney because a lot of law firms don't want the association with me, the label. I'm a convicted attorney. People don't want to associate with that. So it's easier just to get somebody who hasn't been impacted by the criminal justice system than to hire me. Even if I got my law license back tomorrow, you
still have to deal with
none of the major companies are going to hire me.
There's Google no matter what.
There's Google. They're not going to hire me. They're not going to touch me. So I likely will have to open my own law firm and do my own, be self-employed, because no major entity is going to hire me with the conviction, because they don't want to have to explain why they hired me if something goes wrong.
So you're working harder. I mean, that's
you have to work hard. The thought is kind of, should make me a better person in the long run. Like when I'm 60 years old and I'm looking back, I should be a better person because of the experience. It's a hard thing to have to go through, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But if you be patient, you pray, and you're persistent. You can actually, I can turn this lemons into lemonade.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we have to go. But what do you want? Just tell us what you want for your life moving forward after this election on Tuesday.
So I want to use my story to inspire. I think that's like the best thing. Like I feel like win or lose the election on Tuesday, I already won, because how many people came up to me and said, Corey, I didn't even know you could run for office with a felony. I said, not you're still somebody. Yeah, not only can you vote, but you could actually run for office. Like I said, Governor Rowland told me, he said, don't let these people stop you. Like, go for it. And that's kind of like, I think what my message is like, you can have a setback in life. You can make a bad decision, but it doesn't have to define the rest of my life. And so kind of like the Hartford Current was kept writing, like, he's a convicted felon. He just got out of prison. He's running for office. I was like, yeah, I paid my dues. Like,
that's what you do.
So like, I'm home now. Like, so it was like the audacity of just got released and you're running for office. Like, how? And I'm like, well, when should I start life over again? Do you want me to wait another 20 years and then run for office? Like I paid my dues. So now let me live. And it was like the audacity. And so I want people to be audacious. And when you come home, go for your dreams.
Thank you very much. We're going to end on that note. Yep. Thank you so much, Corey, for coming. Yep. I feel inspired and energized.
Me too.
Oh, I'm not running for office, but I feel inspired.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good luck on Tuesday. And let us know if you win.
We'll know.
We'll know. So, and I'll be covering, you know what? I'm anchoring, we're doing this historic thing here. I'm anchoring election night. So I will be covering the whole state. And so we have people on the ground who is going to feed us information. So we're going to, for the night.
Oh, here at the radio
We're going to be here on the radio station and Facebook Live and out in the streets. So I'll know. So I'll shout you out.
Great.
So.
And if anybody wants any more information, secondchancefirm.com. Secondchancefirm.com.
Thank you, Jeff Grant. Always a pleasure.
Babz, another great show. Under our belt, and great guest. Our next show
is the 15th. We've got Catherine Lavery, the chair of the Iona College Criminal Justice Department.
Yep, and just heard from her the other day, and she's raring to go.
Yay!
Yep.
All right, thank you so much. Goodbye, Lynn Springer.
Goodbye, Andrew Kaplan.
And thank you, Community Foundation for Greater New Haven.
Now more than ever.
All right, Harry, we on our way out.
All right, love you, Babz.
Love you too, Jeff Grant.
All right.